As a kid, I always liked to eat. So I just ran up to the first one I saw. And then the lady told me not to come to that window. That's for whites only at that window. And I'm just looking for ice cream. So segregation was pretty powerful back in those days.
It was just a lot different, than it is now. Because I still think all of us should be equal. God made all of us in His image, so I never was a prejudiced person.
Everybody went to the theaters, but the theaters was integrated. And when we got, they asked, they had, well, the TCST had told the black people to stay out of town, but they wouldn't stay. Well, you had these black people decide they was going to go to the Bama Theater. They went up there and they had to get some peoples out of the nightclub, which was the Elks or the Stardust. I think it was the Elks. They were having a big dance. They had to get some people to go up there and get them out of that movie. Cause they claimed them and everybody was up there and they was gonna beat them up. And I think they did beat some up.
I remember, I remember when we were going to elementary and junior high school. We were walking 4 or 5 miles, and a white kid was riding a bus, and they were throwing stuff. We had to get out almost in the ditch to keep them from shying us with eggs and tomatoes, just because we walk and they ride.
We lived about 3, maybe 4 blocks from the church. My dad was the president of the choir. And my mother would get scared every Wednesday when he would go to choir practice. Because here's a black man walking at night, and he would put his hymn books and stuff in a briefcase. And my mother was afraid that the Klan would get him because a black man in a suit at night with a briefcase. And that was something rare back then.
When Arthur Reed Luther came to the University of Alabama, they said for nobody, they said everybody stay off the streets, go home. And we didn't know it. We was working at the Poultry and Egg Company, me and some more women's. And so we always walked or rode the bus. We walked to town. It was down under the River Hill where the Poultry and Egg Company was at that time. Next door to Alabama Gas Company was down there also. So we walked up on top of this hill and got up there and didn't see a soul in town. So we was wondering where was everybody. And then we thought after the bus didn't ever come, that what they had said, stay off the streets, and found out we was about only somebody on the streets. We didn't see a soul. And McKenzie Colt, when they told them not to come to town, and they got into it with the claimants and all those people, so in order to get the people back to town, they went up in an airplane and dropped some papers down, pampers and things saying, come to town. We want you all to come to town. We want you all to go to our theater and all that. And so, that kind of got them back to town. But I see now nobody goes to town much now. And after that, that's about all of it. In McKenzie Court, nobody never come over bothering us over there. But it's just some of the peoples was in that theater.
At one time, during that time, the boycott, we had a bus boycott here, and we were still living in McKenzie Court. So we had to walk everywhere we went. And that was when we purchased our first car.
McKenzie Court was a residential community that existed in a segregated community. It came to really a cultural success story because what it did, it used the people that were there to develop a spirit, that made the people want to be successful. And what happened is that successful people came out. If you looked at the sports teams, if you looked at the academic teams, if you looked at any of the band or the choir, they were people that comprised McKenzie Court residents. So I'd say the spirit, what existed in McKenzie, that drove success, that felt like we had to do, we had to strive to go, we had to make sure that things work, we had to do the right thing. And I think those were the things that I would tell people about how McKenzie Court was.
During the time our pastor E.O. Jones had told us about some bombing had took place, but nobody got hurt at the First African Baptist Church.
They were housed up in there having where they were having meetings at. Yeah, they did some kind of bomb that church. Was a bunch of the McKenzie's kids was there at that time.
There'll be, you knew it's men, women, then colored bathrooms. And both male and female will have to use the colored bathroom.
And that be very careful about staying out on the streets at night, and you should be getting in and not being out unless you're in a group with a group of advisors to stay together. And at that time, do not be out alone by yourself, even in the area that I was living in, McKenzie Court at that time.
I always participated in stuff, like political stuff and all that. At one time, I went around from door to door and had everybody old enough registered to vote. Everybody had a traffic light at their school, but that school, Martin Luther King, was called 32nd Avenue at the time. So we went to the city council meeting with those names, those 340-something people old enough to vote. We had been trying to get a traffic light up there and couldn't get it, but we got it at that time.
Yes, my brother also joined the Marine Corps, Mac. He joined the Marine Corps in '63. He went to Vietnam, got shot 4 times. Maybe this is why I'm so anti-war. Was shot 4 times in one day. He recovered. He got out and came back home and wanted to drive a truck for a concrete company, but he wasn't allowed to because he's black. Now he could change the tires, change the oil, fill it up with water, but he could not drive the truck. Now he just almost got killed for this country, but he couldn't drive a truck.
I was on the executive board meeting, one of the executive board members on there, Morris, and the most exciting thing to me, because we had these things with, I got a chance to shake Reverend Martin Luther King's hand when he was there. And that was outside after the meeting and stuff was over with. That's one of the most important things to me, to get just to get my hand in his.